Welcome. How is everyone?
Wonderful. Thanks for having me.
It is great seeing everyone here.
I have nothing better to do.
Hello, you filthy ingrates.
It feels great to be here.
Well, I'm not doing so well.
What's the matter?
My friend Mauricio from Puerto Rico received his U.S. citizenship a few months ago. He can now write and speak English fluently. I had agreed to help him out until he gets on his feet, but he is having a hard time getting a job. He has applied almost everywhere, but still hasn't received any calls back, and when he follows up on his application, they tell him the position is no longer available. What else can he do?
It sounds like he is being discriminated against because he is a minority. Not to mention, the public employment system seems to have been designed and operated without taking minorities into account. I have faced my own fair share of discrimination when seeking employment opportunities, and I believe everyone should have the same opportunities, no matter their race or ethnicity, especially when competing for public employment jobs.
Yes, I agree. I believe women and minorities are not taken into consideration by institutions of higher levels of education or by public employment jobs. Fortunately, when I was teaching at Berkeley University, I came across equal employment opportunity programs. A recruiter from an affirmative action program reached out and asked me to help them recruit students for entry level and professional jobs, specifically minority and female students.
Wow, how come I haven't heard about these types of programs? What is affirmative action programs? How can they help my friend find a job?
Well, Enrique, let me tell you what they are. An affirmative action program includes those policies, practices, and procedures that the contractor implements to ensure that all qualified applicants and employees are receiving an equal opportunity for recruitment, selection, advancement, and every other term privilege associated with employment.
Actually, to be more specific, Enrique, affirmative action programs favor minorities because of race, gender, religion, or national origin in ways that cannot be ignored. White Americans are disfavored for the most offensive of reasons. To pretend such action is affirmative or that such discrimination is not malignant is the exact opposite of equal employment opportunity, but more importantly, an unequal society.
Affirmative action only favors minorities. This would only disrupt the order of society. Order is the barrier that holds back the flood of death. Therefore, no affirmative action programs should be used in employment decisions, unless, of course, you want the entire race to die.
Affirmative action itself lies within the Constitution. Our Constitution is colorblind and everyone is equal according to the law. We should have affirmative action in the common workplace because everyone should have equal opportunities no matter what race or color someone is. With affirmative action, a person wouldn't be denied a job because of where they come from. So, Minister Mason, how could the entire race die if affirmative action programs are providing jobs?
Not to mention, saying that the entire race will die if affirmative action programs are used in employment decisions is very melodramatic. The policy was created to provide the same opportunities that white people have to minorities. If anything, Minister Mason, no one race will have to die since both races, white and minorities, will be employed.
Too bad he's not American.
You aren't either. Apparently, to be considered American, you have to be from America. But that isn't the case, because someone can become an American legally. Based on the story of our country being settled by European immigrants, that gave the idea that anyone who is from America must be white. Because of this idea, America has been defined as white, and if you aren't from America, you are the other.
It doesn't matter where he is from. I don't believe there should be division among people's race. In the reading Borderlands, I mentioned how there are visible borders that shouldn't divide a nation up and disagree on our differences. We are all humans and should be viewed as individuals first, and then as individuals from a certain race second.
It is ignorant to state that he does not deserve something just because he is not white and because he was not born in America. The United States is the land of the free, and it was built on immigrants. My father came to America to seek a better life because it was known as the place to live in prosperity. Immigrants and other minorities deserve to have an equal opportunity too. They are Americans, after all. Affirmative action seeks to fight discrimination against the majority so that minorities get equal employment opportunities.
Immigrants or not, you can't just walk in here like everything is going to be handed to you on a silver platter. Affirmative action would just be giving away an opportunity to someone who's incompetent and ineffective for the job of a powerful man.
Everyone has a place, and your friend's place is not in America.
Yes, Minister Mason, according to your statistics, it appears that minorities lack the skill to perform adequately for some jobs. But may I ask why? Maybe it's because minorities, like myself, have been deprived from quality education and have had little to no access of resources that could help improve our lack of competence, all due to being discriminated against. This isn't just about having a place. It's about having the same opportunities to compete with others for that place. It's about leveling the playing field for every American regardless of their race.
Malcolm X is right. The point of affirmative action is to give minorities opportunities to gain experience, perform jobs, and use that experience to gain further employment opportunities.
No need to be salty, Minister Mason. I had to leave everything behind in my homeland, and it broke my heart. I may not be full-on American, but even if I was, I would want everyone to have equal rights, whether they are American or not. Imagine if you were in their shoes. Would you want to be mistreated?
Imagine if I was in their shoes? My friend, you suffer from the misplaced optimism of the doomed. We all must remain in our allotted place. Each of us must occupy our preordained particular position. Would you wear a shoe on your head? Of course you wouldn't wear a shoe on your head. A shoe belongs on your foot. A hat belongs on your head. We white Americans are a hat. The others are a shoe. Now is the beginning. White Americans belong to the upper class. The others belong to the lower class. We need to do away with affirmative action because minorities need to know their place. Keep their place to ensure they stay a shoe.
Actually, Minister Mason, our own laws determine that we can't discriminate someone because of their race. As long as they are a citizen, they have equal rights according to our Constitution. In fact, the 14th Amendment states, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States, and of the state wherein they reside. It also states that no state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges of immunities of citizens of the United States.
Affirmative action programs have been designed to protect us from people like you, Minister Mason. Your type of people have always had the upper hand and treated us minorities, or others, as if we were their private property. We are no one's property. We are individuals with rights too.
It can be difficult to recognize privilege when you have it. White people are so afraid of affirmative action because they think it threatens their privilege, and they do not consider that minorities are not given the same employment opportunities white people have.
Just because we're historically proven to be more powerful and capable of doing more makes us privileged? No. It's because we have proven ourselves deemed as fit to be put in certain positions that certain people just cannot fulfill.
While that is understandable, it is beneficial to promote a more diverse workplace environment, which affirmative action will guarantee. Employers will consider people who are qualified for the job, but if it's a choice between hiring a white man or a minority, the employer will usually hire the white man because of stereotypes associated with a minority's skill set.
And why can't these certain people fulfill certain positions? Because they are minorities? Because the superior race of whites have put a stereotype on them, saying they are not able to live up to higher standards?
These people simply do not live up to these higher standards that you talk about because culturally they are not capable of doing so. Certain groups are just not able to assimilate and cannot produce results like a white man can. For example, in 2009, the New Haven Civil Service Board had dismissed the results of a white firefighter's exam for those of an African Americans, even though the white man had a higher test score than his counterpart. If anything, affirmative action programs should be designed to protect white Americans.
They are not capable of doing so because minorities haven't had the same opportunities as whites have to learn these skills necessary for these certain jobs. White Americans have privileges handed to them left and right, and you feel the need to take yet another thing to help minorities away? Affirmative action is not designed to turn down a white person for a job. It is designed to give everyone an equal opportunity for getting the job.
If I may add on to the idea of white privilege, my sister Rosa was working underneath a white woman who made her do simple tasks and chores. I think this proves that minorities get the short end of the stick when it comes to jobs. I was even working underneath a white man to serve people at a fancy restaurant where diversity in various employee positions were close to none. Also, we rarely see minorities dining in at the restaurant due to their low income earnings, I bet. I can see how programs like affirmative action could help minorities receive the income wages they deserve.
This applies to women too. When I attended Berkeley as a student, many women were expected to get married and be stay-at-home moms, but more and more women were deciding to go to college and get jobs. It was hard finding a job, even though my skills and competency was just as good, if not better, than males. Affirmative action programs will make sure that women are not being discriminated against because of their sex.
It's not surprising to find that 70 to 80% of white people do not support affirmative action because it doesn't favor the upper class. Ask any white person how they feel about affirmative action, and you're almost guaranteed to hear that it is racist against white people, and that it is unfair or reverse discrimination, and that they oppose it. Further, most white folks will tell you that they are, in fact, actually less likely to get a job or position in a school than a person of color because of affirmative action policies.
Although that may be true, and it is said that affirmative action policies can influence employers to choose someone who is a minority, even if they aren't the best candidate. However, minorities are far less likely than any white American to achieve a position over them, especially without any help. White Americans are in support of anything that will help them, but when it comes to others needing help, they oppose it because it isn't designed specifically for them.
From what you have heard, Enrique, do you think your friend could find a job if he applied to a business who implemented affirmative action programs when making employment decisions?
Both sides were very informative, but using affirmative action in employment would be more beneficial to my friend.
I have had enough of you rodents. I'm leaving. If you want to stay in denial and believe people like you can live up to being anything, be my guest.
This has been a complete waste of my time. I would have much rather done nothing than sit here and listen to you idiots.